welcome to today's episode on how to real estate. This is going to be short and sweet unless I spin off on a rant because it's something that we're dealing with almost daily. So we are right now working on putting SOPs together, standard operating procedures. The challenge is that our real estate documentation, our contracts, and our disclosures have not been able to keep up with today's technology. Let me explain what I'm talking about. So basically, when you go and you look at a home and the realtor walks up to the front door and it's a keypad and they go boop, 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 and you see the Ring camera, you know they're watching you, you know they're listening to you. As you get ready to enter the home, there is a camera up in the upper corner. Sometimes there's cameras inside too, we all know that. Maybe you go out on the back patio and there's cameras, and the back porch door also has the little keypad. Guys, these are all things that then once you go into contract, purchase the home, you need to be mindful, do they stay with the property or not? And there's two schools of thought. The first thought is they're attached. But here's the thing, on the Oklahoma residential property condition disclosure, a seller can state that the security system does not stay. A seller can also state that the security system is leased, which means it would not stay. So it doesn't matter if it's attached or not. They can then remove the keypads and that fancy doorknob and everything. They can remove the Ring doorbell. They can remove the cameras. What else is there? I know there's something else that I'm just not thinking of, but then you show up on the day of closing to do a final walkthrough. Those things are gone and you lose your ever-loving mind. So what you want to do as a seller, you want to make a list of items that are definitively not staying and what is the plan. And realistically, what I think is super smart to do is to go ahead and have the deadbolt or the doorknob that you're going to replace it with, because most likely the home did not come with those and you're putting the original hardware back on. So I would say you've got that somewhere, take a photo of it and say this will go back in. Now it gets a little bit trickier when you remove the Ring doorbell, because a lot of times there's opening or holes in the siding of the home, in the brick of the home, in the wood of the home. Who's responsible for that? The problem is our state contracts and again disclosures have just not been able to keep up with what's changing with technology on things that are attached and could be excluded. So as a realtor, because we have ran into this numerous times, we are putting together standard operating procedures. The challenge is that sometimes we can't tell that the item is even there because it's a hidden camera, or they just haven't told us about it, or the keypad looks like the old school that's not tied to anything, when in reality, it truly is tied to the system. The other thing that buyers get kind of skeeved out about is some of the security system control panels, if you will, are very, very large, and the security system comes in, the company comes in and cuts like a 4-inch by 6-inch piece out of the sheetrock because it makes it easy for them to tie into the wiring. So when that piece is removed, you just have a big hole in your wall. So I feel like we've done a great job as realtors to address this when it comes to flat screen TVs, because 8 years ago, 10 years ago, that was a big thing. All of a sudden, people would take the arm or the shelf not the shelf, but the arm or the, what is it called?
Like the TV mount?
The mount. Thank you, Jill, behind the camera. Save the day. Would take the TV mount and it would just be a huge, huge mess. So as realtors, we need to all work toward making sure that this is addressed. If you are a buyer or you're an agent working with a buyer, there is absolutely nothing wrong with line item each thing. So literally say all security cameras, Ring doorbell, keypad code. And again, this is really annoying for a buyer's agent because as buyer's agents, we don't know what is connected to the security system, but wouldn't you rather be a little bit overkill on the things that you're asking for as opposed to showing up the day of closing and these things are missing? Now, I do think that the seller needs to do a little extra work, and on the property condition disclosures, they should line item the things that are not staying that are tied to the security system. We've gone through this for years with the refrigerator. That's kind of the big joke that every realtor talks about. We've had wood stoves removed from the shop building. We've had pot racks that were hanging above the kitchen island, but were not physically attached. It was an eye hook, porch swings. But now, guys, we're into some real expensive items. Not that those are not expensive, but some items that can really cause issues here at the end of closing. So as a seller, think about what you absolutely are taking with you, add it to the disclosure, and when the offer comes in, make sure it gets added to the list of exclusions. But buyers, on the flip side, if there's something that you absolutely want to make sure stays, go ahead and have your realtor write it in. It's the only way for the buyer and seller to be absolutely clear as to what their expectations are. Now, the flip side of this is we've had some young buyers who purchased homes recently, and they were not happy that the cameras, the Ring doorbell, those items were still hardwired and attached to the home. Why? They felt like the system that was, I'm saying Ring, I realize that that's probably the Ring doorbell is more of a brand, but you guys know what I'm talking about. The camera at the front porch. There's so many different brands. But recently we've had some buyers who felt like those systems had not been deactivated by the previous client, and that even though the new owner had access, they still felt like the previous owner also had access. So that can be the flip side of this. I personally think that being very, very specific in your purchase offer, and as the seller side being very, very specific when you respond to the purchase offer, is going to be the only way that we overcome this, because unfortunately, by the time our state contracts catch up with that, our state disclosures catch up with that, it will have all changed and there will be something new. So just be super mindful of that so that you are not very, very frustrated on the day of closing to arrive and there's no fancy keypad codes. And this also applies to the garage. Last week, I sold a home. It was a $600,000 home with 4 garages, and we were given 1 garage remote. 1 remote. And their reasoning was they told us that when they purchased the home, they were also only given 1 remote because all of the systems were on Wi-Fi and could be attached to your phone through an app. And so my buyer was fine with it because they were very techie and they thought that was cool. I didn't verify that myself because, again, the buyer was fine on whether or not it actually only came with 1 remote. But these are all items that, due to technology, it's changed completely, and just asking those questions up front and documenting and having everybody sign off is going to save you a ton of time, frustration, and money. So I hope that you found this to be helpful. Sorry for the rant. Document, write it down, ask for it, exclude it. Those are the best ways to handle it. As always, guys, please like, follow, and share. And thank you so much for watching.